Welcome to the first lesson of Unit 2. This lesson is going to be looking at real geometric types of problems. What we were looking at before with the coordinate planes is good information, but now we're starting to get into true geometry. One of the more basic principles that we're going to look at is the angle addition postulate. Pretty much everything in geometry is going to be based off of angles and that sort of thing. So we need to make sure that we have a good foundation of what angles are and how they work. And one of the more basic properties is the angle addition postulate. It really makes a lot of sense. What the angle addition postulate tells us is that we can take angles and we can add their measures together to create larger angles. So it's just like adding and subtracting regular numbers, but here we're working with angles, right? So let's take a look at our first example. Here they give us an image. This image is really important too because we have something visual to look at. And what I'm going to be really emphasizing this year is that we need to make sure that we're marking our pictures. So they give us a picture to look at, and they give us some instructions. This particular example says that we want to find the measure of angle ADC if the measure of angle ADB equals 31 degrees, and the measure of BDC is 53 degrees. You might notice that we have some abbreviations here, okay, measure of angle. So you're going to see these throughout the entire year. We want to get familiar with what the questions are actually telling us. Okay, so let's put this information into the picture so that we have a better idea of what's going on, and it's going to be a lot easier for us to solve it. So they're telling us to find ADC. ADC is this really large angle. So we're trying to figure out how much that total thing is worth. And then they tell us that angle ADB, that's the smaller one on the inside, is going to have a value of 31 degrees. So I'm going to mark that down. Here's the angle, and that's 31 degrees. And then it tells us that angle BDC, that's this angle down here, has a measure of 53 degrees. What's nice is that I can see that if I'm trying to find this entire thing, I know I need to take this smaller piece and add it to this second piece. So 31 plus 53 will give us the entire length of that bigger outside angle. So 3 plus 1 gives us 4, 3 plus 5 will give us 8. So our total for a measure of angle ADC, the whole thing is 84 degrees wide. Pretty simple concept. So let's take a look at a couple other examples. If you want to try doing these two examples on your own, pause the video, try them out, and then resume it. We'll go over the answers. Alright, so here we go. It tells us that we're looking for the measure of angle BEC. BEC, that's a small angle right here. Now, I'm going to mark it with something, but what I'm going to mark it with is a variable. Maybe we'll use X. Okay. The reason why I'm doing that is because when I look at the rest of the problem, they're going to be giving me an entire outside angle. So I know that I'm going to be using these smaller pieces, but I'm going to have to set up an algebraic expression to solve for it. So here we go. It tells me the measure of angle CED. CED is 62 degrees. It's right here. And I actually missed one. It says AEB, which is right here, is 29 degrees. And then it tells me that the entire angle of AED, this whole thing, is going to be 149 degrees. So I'm still adding these smaller pieces together. 29, this mystery angle, and 62. And we know that it's going to total the entire bigger angle of 149. So that's the algebraic expression that I'm going to set up. Let's combine like terms and solve for x. 29 and 62. That looks like it's going to give me 91 plus x. That'll equal 149. If I subtract 91 from both sides, that goes away. 9 minus 1 will be 8. Borrow 14 minus 9 is 5. Nothing left. So that tells me that the angle that I was looking for, BEC, is 58 degrees. Next example. This one's a little different. Here, they're telling us to solve for x, and they're giving us bits of information. They're telling us that the measure of angle 1, which is right here, is going to be 6x plus 8. And measure of angle 2, right here, is 2x plus 1. And they tell us that ABC, this much larger angle, is 73 degrees. So this shouldn't be any different really than what we were doing before. We know that we're going to take the smaller measured angles and add them together and make them equal the larger angle. So here's my first small angle. I'm going to add it to my other small angle, and I'm going to make it equal the larger angle. So that's the algebraic expression I need to work with. Let's combine like terms and solve. 6x and 2x is 8x. Positive 8 and positive 1 is positive 9. And nothing's happened to the 73 yet. I want to subtract 9 from both sides. It's going to leave me with 8x on this side. And 73 minus 9 is 64. Divide by 8. That gives me x as a value of 8. We don't have to plug anything back in. It's only asking us to solve for x. So once we figure out what x is, we're good. If they wanted to know the measure of angle 1, we would plug it back into the formula and it would spit out a number for us. But they don't ask us to do that. They're just asking for the value of x. Now we're going to talk about some other problems. These are called supplements. Supplements are two angles that when we add them together, they're equal to 180. Or, in other words, they create a linear pair. So what you're going to notice here is that this angle 1, when it's joined with angle 2, it gives us a straight line, which is worth 180 degrees. And we'll see it again in this example down here, that these two angles together form a straight line, or 180 degree linear pair. So when I keep that in mind, I know that I'm going to have to add these two angles together to create 180 degrees. So I know angle 1 is worth 49 degrees. I don't know what angle 2 is. They're asking us to solve for that. But I do know that when I add angle 1 and angle 2 together, it should give me the straight line, which is 180 degrees. This is pretty simple. Subtract 49 from both sides. And that's going to give me x equaling 131 degrees. So 49 degrees and 131 degrees, those are supplements of each other. They add up to 180. And another example for the supplements. This one, again, a little bit of algebra being involved. They're asking us to solve for x. We shouldn't worry, though, because we know that these two particular angles are going to create 180 degrees. So, measure of angle 1, they tell us, is 15x minus 3. The measure of angle 2, they tell us, is negative 6x plus 12. And we know that these two things together are going to create 180 degrees. So if I add them, 15x minus 3 plus negative 6x plus 12, they will add to 180. Let's combine like terms. 15x and negative 6x is 9x. Negative 3 and positive 12 is positive 9. Nothing has happened to my 180 degrees yet. I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. That's going to give me 171 divided by 9. That's going to give us our final answer of, oh, 9 fits into 17 once. 17 minus 9 is 8. 81 divided by 9 is 9. Looks like 19. Okay, so the value of x is 19. Doesn't ask to plug anything in. We're just going to leave it how it is. And our final set of problems. These problems are asking to find complements. Don't worry about it. Complements just mean that we're looking for two angles to add to 90 degrees. Very similar to the supplements, only here we're adding to 90 instead of 180. So this word problem says find the complement to an angle of 13 degrees. Well, I know that I'm looking for some number that when I add it to 13, it's going to give me 90. So if I subtract 13 from both sides, that's going to give me x equaling 77 degrees. And our final problem. You want to try this one out on your own? Try pausing the video and resume it. We'll go over the answer on your own. It's very similar to the supplement problem we did on the other page. Alright, so here we go. We know that we're going to be taking these two angles, and when we add them together, they should create 90 degrees. And they tell us that angle 1 is worth 2x minus 4, and that angle 2 is 4x minus 2. So when we take these two pieces and we add them together, they should add to 90. Combining like terms, that gives me 6x minus 6 equals 90. I'm going to have to add 6 to both sides. And last step would be divide by 6. 6 goes into 9 one time. That leaves me with 36 divided by 6, which equals 6. So x equals 16. Again, we don't have to worry about plugging anything in. We're just looking to solve for x. These are complements. We went over supplements, and we also went over the angle addition postulate. Really easy things to do, but we need to make sure that we're good at them because this is just the very beginning of geometry. We can't do much else unless we have these concepts down. So practice these types of things, guys, okay?